In this video, I'm going to talk you through how to paint effective light and shadows in oils. I'm using the White House as my subject, inspired a trip I took back in 2019. Notice how the photograph doesn't have any particular lighting or dramatic shadows, but this is what makes it the perfect example of how an artist can choose where to place the focus. Hello and welcome. If you're new here, my name's Rox and I'm a landscape artist specialising in oil paintings. You'd normally find me and my dog Margot wandering around the British countryside, gathering inspiration from landscapes all around us. We gather photographs on our trips, and once I'm back in my studio, I work on transforming them into something extraordinary. But today I've got something a bit different for you. We're diving into a painting of the White House, creating light and shadow. I'm working on an A2 stretch canvas that I've prepared with Michael Harding's Burnt Sienna acrylic primer. Over that, I've sketched out my composition, and you'll notice I've already drawn a line for the area of contrast, a guide to show me where to build the light and the shadows. The key for every painting is to start simple. This palette allows me to create any colour I want while keeping everything looking harmonious. Pause the video or take a screenshot and use this palette in your next painting. So the first stage in my 3-step method on creating light and shadow is called blocking in. This is where I use a simple strategy in scribbling down the basic colours, almost like creating a map. Once these colours are down, it's so much easier to navigate your way through the painting, making adjustments where you need to. At this point, I'm not worried about details or perfecting edges or making anything look realistic. It's just about getting colour down as a guide and making adjustments to my lights and my shadows as needed. And I know I'm not going to nail it straight away, but in this part of the painting, you've got a good chance of correcting as you go along to make sure that you get it how you want before moving on. Building a painting is like building a house. Without a good foundation, the rest could crumble. You could risk the painting looking flat and unfinished. But as you block in, you can already see how the light and the shadows play across the scene and how they bounce off one another. When we talk about values in painting, we're just talking about how light or dark something is. And value is more important than colour itself. So if you turned your painting into black and white, all you would see are values. Even if your colour mixing isn't great, but your values are, the painting would still read as realistic. I made my own value scale from 1 to 8, and I keep this on my palette to refer back to it. When I'm blocking in these trees, I'm using a shadow value of around 5 and a light value of around 3, as demonstrated where this line meets. The second stage of painting is modelling. This is where you'd build up the realism in a 3-dimensional form, refining shapes and adjusting colours, light, shadows, midtones, and smoothing out transitions and edges. I always work with whatever is furthest away and make my way forward. I use a range of different brushes to get the desired textures that I want, and as a rule I like to use softer and synthetic brushes for shadows and harder bristle brushes for areas which are light. At the end of the day, painting is really just an illusion. I'm not painting the actual White House itself. I'm painting shapes of colour, light and shadow on a 2-dimensional surface that reads realistically in a 3-dimensional way. Take this tree and the shadows as an example. Well, it's shaped like a tree, the values are correct, using darker tones, and the build-up of textures reflecting on the natural surrounding light tricks the eye into believing that there are more values or more dimensions to the tree. We've come to the final stage, the details. Details are what convinces the eye. This is where I sharpen the edges, add textures, and place any highlights that catch the light. The detail stage isn't about painting every brick or every window perfectly. It's about choosing the right accents to sell the illusion. It's easy to get carried away with details, but they only work if the foundation underneath is solid. Think of it like icing a cake. The cake itself has to be properly baked first, or, well, you can just imagine what happens. And, well, really, that's just the recipe to creating a great painting. So I just want to thank you for watching my video, and I've got a ton of helpful videos on painting and drawing on my channel. So please like, subscribe, and check out my other content. Comment below if you found this useful. Thank you for watching.